Hi, I'm Russ Henry. I'm the manager of business solutions at the College of Business. And if you're watching this introduction, then you're likely a new recruiter. This is a starting place for you, and you'll find in the Salesforce knowledge base a number of how-to videos specifically on how to use various things about Salesforce to do your job. The purpose of this brief orientation is to give you an idea of what the sales process or recruiting process is for the graduate programs at College of Business. So without further ado, let's dive right into it. Each of these little videos is intended to be very short, not burn much of your time, and give you a lot of information. So let's take a look at the sales and recruiting process here at the College of Business. We're using pretty much a classic model for those of you who have been in sales or recruiting before. We start with a lead coming in, and leads, by the way, our primary and best quality source of lead is from an information request. And if you've been on our CSU web pages and have looked there, we ask you for your name and your email address and your phone number if you're interested in a graduate program. And what's happening in the background is we have a product running Pardot, which is part of Salesforce, which captures your information request and transforms it into a lead. Coming with that is a lot of information about you. We look at the IP address to determine where you're from. If you're calling or if you're launching your request from your work, we find out where you work. And all that stuff is embedded in the lead that is now made available to the recruiters to be able to work. Leads are just raw potential. There's no contact associated with them. They're just out there, a glimmer of a possibility for someone attending CSU. So with the lead, we are doing some very interesting things in the background. We are creating a task for you if there's a phone number to give them a call the next business day. If there is no phone number associated with the lead, we're putting it into an automated workflow where the prospect gets a series of 3 emails coming out at intervals saying, hey, we received your request, thanks very much, please give us a call so we can discuss this further with you. So if you're getting a call and during your business day from one of these guys, that's what's going on in the background. I'd also like to mention that during the lead process, the very first thing that happens is that John Weiss, the director of graduate recruiting, is sending an acknowledgement thanking them for their interest. So key event in this, the issuance of emails, workflow emails coming out over time. We have, as I mentioned earlier, decision going on here in our system process. And the decision is, do you have a phone? If you did have a phone, then what's going on is we're creating a task for the recruiting assistant to give a call within a business day, acknowledging the information and potentially scheduling an appointment with the recruiter for an in-depth conversation going on. So leads very important. It's where our stuff comes from. There can be other sources of leads too. We can get leads from purchase lists, which are of course less quality than somebody raising their hand and saying, hey, I'm interested in going to school there. But leads can come from an infinite number of sources. Let's take a look at what happens next in the process. So we have a lead, a decision was made, and you work the phone call, okay? A task is created and you make a phone call. We do 3 phone call attempts to reach a contact, 3 of them. First one is really critical because we found that timing is everything in this business. So pay a special attention to making that phone call on time. If it isn't made on time, we tattle on you. I'm sorry, it's true. We send an email to John Weiss saying, hey, this hasn't been worked. That may mean you're over capacity, and John will elect to assign it to a different recruiter who has more capacity than you. Or it may mean that you had the day off and were sick or something like that. But it is a matter of importance that we make those phone calls on time. These become a series of tasks. As you make a phone call in this, you'll be scheduling follow-up times to make a series of 3, and also sending out an email from an email template saying, hey, I tried to get a hold of you and you weren't around. Okay, so a very planned series of interactions with our prospects at the onset. 3 is a magic number. It may change over time, but that's what we're using as of today. Now we'll take a look at what happens next in your process. As a lead, as we engage with a prospect, we have a phone conversation. We're saying that the recruiting assistant is most likely the person to have that initial conversation. It confirms the interest and very loosely confirms qualifications for attendance at the College of Business or admission into the graduate programs. It also confirms the interest, because in the world we're moving into, we'll allow a prospect to indicate multiple interests. So they might be interested in the online professional MBA program. They might be interested in CIS and might need some clarification as to which one is more appropriate for them. The graduate recruiting assistant, or the person initially working the lead, will find out what is the primary interest. I'm going to put X as the primary interest. Someday we'll have an X program. Anyway, primary interest goes into there, and it goes into what is called an opportunity. The opportunity is key for us because this is the venue of the recruiter. This is the sales pipeline. This is what we forecast the revenue and the performance of the college by, is the number of opportunities and the condition that they're in. We have different stages within the opportunity, and you'll learn about those as you learn the app, but essentially it moves in here. It's been pre-qualified by the recruiting assistant. It's gone on here and it has pre-qualified, and the pre-qualified status will move into developing. You're the person, the recruiter is the person, who moves it into a developing sales stage. This is, again, critical because this is our forecast. This is how we know things are mature and moving along very nicely. If you don't update this, looks like nothing's being worked. So from your perspective, from looking like you're doing the job, from a forecasting perspective, and from the visibility of learning what's going on, be sure and advance the sales stage. And you'll learn that in the coming videos. So as it moves down here, they of course apply, and then the system will update that sales stage. But this recruiter is your venue, working the opportunity and using the many features of Salesforce to help advance that. From an opportunity, it moves into, we have an application emerge, and the app is really the venue of admissions, but it's still related to the opportunity, which is related to the lead. You always have responsibility for the opportunity. That's where the recruiting venue is. I'd like to move into what happens next, and I'll bet you can guess, which is that application ultimately turns into an enrollment. And enrollment is updated in the sales stage. So you can see this opportunity here reflects what's going on in the graduate recruiting world. So I'm not going to bore you further. We got lots of these little videos, and I hope today was fairly instructive for you. If you're in the knowledge base, which you probably are to have seen this, you'll know lots of how-to stuff, how to work your leads, and all that kind of thing. Welcome, and I hope this has been useful for you, and thank you.